Steelers most to blame for embarrassing loss to Bills in Week 13. Here we'll try to look at and discuss the Pittsburgh Steelers most to blame for their embarrassing Week 13 loss to Bills. The Pittsburgh Steelers entered Week 13 desperate to regain momentum in a tight AFC playoff race. Instead, they walked off their home field stunned and exposed. What began as a gritty defensive battle spiraled into an outright collapse. The Buffalo Bills outscored Pittsburgh 23-0 in the second half, turning a 7-3 Steelers advantage into an embarrassing 26-7 defeat at Acrisure Stadium. The second half was a nightmare unfolding in real time. The Steelers absorbed a strip sack touchdown on the first play after halftime. It was followed by an interception on the next possession. Pittsburgh did not show any offensive spark, any push in the trenches, and any answers for Josh Allen or James Cook. Sure, the Steelers' defense kept things competitive early. However, the floodgates burst wide open as Buffalo pounded the Steelers into submission. Buffalo controlled the ball for nearly 42 minutes. They racked up a franchise record 249 rushing yards on Pittsburgh's home turf. This was a reckoning. The Steelers fell back to 6-6 and watched their postseason hopes wobble as their most troubling weaknesses resurfaced at the worst possible time. When the film rolls, there's no shortage of blame to go around. Here we'll try to look at and discuss the Steelers most to blame for their Week 13 loss to Bills. Aaron Rodgers returned from his fractured wrist. The version of Rodgers the Steelers needed, though, never took the field. Instead, they got one of his worst performances in years. Rodgers finished with a paltry 117 passing yards. He failed to stretch the field and repeatedly misread open designs. The turning point came on the strip sack touchdown on the first snap of the third quarter. Joey Bosa exploded off the edge. He knocked the ball out and Christian Benford scooped it for the go-ahead score. Buffalo would never surrender that lead. Things got worse when Rodgers exited briefly with a bloody nose. Mason Rudolph entered and immediately delivered a nightmare sequence. He had an ugly one-hopper to DK Metcalf, then a baffling decision to target Darnell Washington in triple coverage. Rudolph overthrew the 6'7" tight end, and handing the Bills an easy interception. The quarterbacks were just nowhere near good enough in this one. Buffalo entered the game with 2 backup tackles. It's a matchup that should have been tailor-made for Pittsburgh's star-studded edge group. Instead, the Steelers produced 0 sacks and just 1 QB hit. The defense shockingly failed to build around any pressure. T.J. Watt, in particular, had a forgettable afternoon. The Bills ran directly at him throughout the game. They bounced wide zone plays to his side and dared him to shed blocks. He missed multiple potential sacks and failed to consistently set the edge in the run game. Alex Highsmith wasn't much better. The interior pressure was non-existent. Allen enjoyed clean pockets, comfortable launch points, and wide-open throwing lanes. It was the type of pass rush performance that loses games. On Sunday, it did. The run defense was at least just as bad. Cook embarrassed the Steelers' defense en route to 144 rushing yards. He repeatedly sliced through open lanes and bounced outside untouched. Cook accelerated into the second level before a Steeler even laid a hand on him. Backup Ray Davis added a steady complement inside. Again, the Bills as a whole churned out a franchise record 249 rushing yards. They nearly doubled Pittsburgh's entire offensive output. The problems were everywhere for the Steelers. They did not show any gap integrity, edge containment, or block shedding. Linebackers were late to fill and safeties out of position. Yahya Black, Patrick Queen, and Kyle Duggar each had costly misses and misreads. The absence of Derek Harmon loomed large. It was a collective defensive meltdown. The Steelers were pushed around for 4 quarters, plain and simple. Mike Tomlin's teams are known for resilience, toughness, and second-half adjustments. None of those qualities showed up in Week 13. The Steelers' offense never found rhythm, direction, or identity. The run defense made no adjustments to Buffalo's wide zone attack. Their pass rush never adapted to counter the Bills' quick-set protections. Worst of all, team discipline, once a hallmark of Tomlin's teams, evaporated as the game slipped away. Offensive play calling bordered on passive, predictable, and lifeless. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin didn't have answers when Buffalo started leaning on the run. For weeks, the Steelers have looked like a team stuck in the same cycle: defensive strain, offensive stagnation, coaching stubbornness. Week 13 felt like the tipping point. Losing demands accountability. The Steelers weren't beaten by trick plays, fluke bounces, or questionable calls. They were beaten because the Bills imposed their will. Pittsburgh had no response. If the Steelers hoped to salvage their season, they must confront the truth. Week 13 wasn't just a loss, it was a very loud alarm bell.